Welcome back to Auto Amateur. It's a new year and we have a new season of videos and podcasts and blog posts and Total 911 columns to write. It's a really exciting time. I've taken a couple of weeks off. In fact, I've had quite a few people commenting just recently, have I disappeared? Have I given up the game? I only took 2 weeks off. My last video dropped, about 3 weeks ago. But I've got to say, I really enjoyed just unplugging and relaxing over the Christmas and New Year period, spending lots of time with my family, and now getting the year off to a cracking start. So I've been doing lots of planning and scheming, and I'm hoping that this year is going to be very exciting for anybody following my channel and for myself. Now, this video is actually about a different Porsche project and a Porsche owner. His name is Todd. I've been in touch with him for a couple of years. If you came across or have come across Michael Bath's Porsche Cool podcast, which now has about 15,000 people following on Instagram, and he has a load of subscribers, he actually featured Todd just before the holidays and talked through his barn find and this classic Porsche that he's restoring. I'm going one step further in that I'm going out to Chicagoland today to go check it out. So we'll be going back, or at least we'll be continuing this episode and seeing the vintage car in a second. But first, I just wanted to take this opportunity to talk a little bit about what's in store for you Auto Amateur followers this year. Last year, I focused very much on collaboration. I had friends bringing their cars into the garage, did a lot of group drives, tried to take as much video footage as I could, had a few guests on my podcast, and that really got me excited. And I want to do more of that this year. So there will be more collaborations. I just did a podcast recently with Jay Reed from the Jay Reed channel that started to grow on YouTube. He's a fellow Brit, fellow Ginger, fellow Porsche owner, and drives a 996 based out in Connecticut. I have more podcast collaborations coming up. Today's video is a collaboration with Todd in Chicagoland. But whether it's doing car reviews or working on other people's cars and just getting out and driving, I want to just bring more and more people into this to make the content more interesting, to make my life filming these videos and making these videos more interesting. But the collaborations seem to be very popular, and so I want to focus more on that this year. I may be changing my car this year. The project car needs to get finished. Unfortunately, I didn't get to finish it last year. At least Steve, Pat, and I finished it, and for 24 hours it ran fine, and then we had a problem. And that's well documented. I won't go over that again. But the project car is on the way out. We need to get it finished and get it sold. My 991, I haven't yet come to the end of my journey with the 991 behind me. But I am starting to think about, what's next? Is it a GT3? Is it another 911 to sit next to this? I don't know. But I also need a daily driver. And you'll see in today's video, I'm going to be driving a truck. So am I going to be getting a truck? I don't know. But getting into a new car at some point this year is also something on the roadmap. So as well as car reviews and collaborations and group drives, and of course, DIY videos, I'm going to be looking into new cars as well. So lots of exciting stuff to come. I hope you're going to continue with me on this journey. I was tempted to drop a couple of videos over the past week or so, but I wanted this first one to be special, and I've been really looking forward to going out to Chicagoland to see Todd and his vintage Porsche. I've been trying to get out there, for the best part of a year since he bought it. But now this week we're going to make it happen. So let's focus on Todd. Let's focus on his classic Porsche project, and let's go see what it's all about.
Hi, my name's Todd, and this is my 1957 Porsche 356A.
Hey guys, so I made it to Chicagoland, and I'm here with Todd and his beautiful 1957 356. I'm blown away.
Yeah?
I mean, you've obviously done some work to it so far.
I've done some, yeah.
It's not ready for the road, but
no.
I'm just in awe of this thing.
Right.
It looks fantastic. Tell us about what you've done so far.
Well,
being a project car.
Well, I pulled it out of the guy's garage that I bought it from, and it had all kinds of garbage piled over the top of it and stuff. And when I was able to get it out, and I pulled it home, and I get it into the garage, I really haven't cleaned anything on it other than the windows.
Oh, really?
Yeah, everything else that you see on it is just kind of, still there. So it's like the paint's real oxidized. It's, it's not in good shape. It's got some rust on it in here on the outside. I'm kind of fine with that right now. I like the patina.
Yeah.
Someday, maybe I'll get to the point where I want to change it over, but it's like sandpaper. It's like shark skin.
I know. I know Porsche owners that would be crying just touching this thing, but when you see it on a vintage car, I mean, it's just part of the history.
Right. So I haven't really done anything to the outside, and right now I don't plan on doing anything. What I've got, what I want to do is make sure drivetrain, right? So engine, brakes, transmission, everything like that is good, solid, running. So I've got the engine off at a machinist, getting work done on that. Hopefully be getting that back in about the next month or so.
Yeah.
And we could start, putting that together. Transmission I've taken out, I've cleaned it up. That type of stuff. I haven't really gotten into the brakes yet.
Yeah.
I've taken the back brakes apart. Haven't done the front yet, or any of the front suspension yet.
And so it sounds like you've got a plan that you're working to, and it sounds pretty logical. And in some respects, just invalidates my plan for the 996, where we got it painted before we realized the engine was going to work. But engine, drivetrain, brakes. Get all the mechanical stuff out of the way, get it working.
Right.
And we will talk about the interior in a minute, because you obviously got to do things with the floor.
Right.
So your feet don't do a Flintstones out of the bottom.
Sure.
But that's great. And which company are you using to do the engine?
It's Competition Engineering out of California, up in Lake Isabella, California.
And they specialize in this model?
Yeah. They specialize in Porsches. That's what they started with the 356s. And the guy that owns and runs the company now is the nephew of the guy that started the company.
Oh, isn't that great?
So and him and I have talked quite a bit, and it's funny, the town he's in is a real small little town up in the mountains, and my uncle used to live in that same town.
No way.
Yeah. They don't know each other, but they both said if we saw each other, we'd probably recognize each other. Yeah. So it's kind of neat. But real quick, you said about my plan.
Yeah.
Over there, I'll show it to you in a little bit. You can see taped up on the cabinet over there.
Oh.
That's my list of things I need to do to get done on the car. So hopefully I can keep focused.
Yeah, that's great. And you bought it last summer?
I bought it, in July of last year.
And once you get the engine back, you're going to reassemble it yourself?
I am. I don't have any experience with Porsche air-cooled engines or anything like that. I've done, American muscle cars. Like I said, I've owned American muscle cars with the big V8s and everything. So I've got experience with that. But I don't with the air cooled, but
Okay.
I've got a really good friend that I've known for 35 plus years that lives, 5 minutes, 10 minutes from here.
Yeah.
And he's an air cooled guy. He had a
Okay.
914 at one time. He's had over a dozen VWs. He's building
Best friends.
He's got Carmen Gia right now. He's got 2 Beetles he's doing. So he's familiar with them. And my engine machinist, Walt, said, don't worry about it. He'll be, he's sure, he goes, I'm sure you and your buddy can, get it together. And if you need to, he goes, I'm a phone call away or a FaceTime away.
That's really nice.
So, yeah, so it's,
That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's very
and
helpful.
it's funny you mentioned the Beetle because, Volkswagen and Porsche, their histories, sort of tie back to one another if
Sure.
you go far enough back
Sure.
along the time frame. And I think, I've heard some people call these the posh Beetle.
Right.
Because they, eventually somebody said, I want a fancy sporty version of that.
Right.
Build me one.
It's funny, when I brought the car home, I was on the trailer bringing it home. Halfway home, I'm stopped and I'm waiting for traffic to go by, and a guy pulled up next to me in a car, and he goes, "Is that a VW,
No way.
bug?" And I'm like, "No," but which it is a little bit different. But the funny thing is that. Like the covers that could go on the headlights, for
Yeah.
the stone guards.
Yeah.
If you look at the bottom of them on the underside, it is stamped VW.
Oh, really?
And in the engine, when I took the engine apart and was checking to see if I needed to go ahead and send it off to the machinist, there was a VW stamped inside on the crank in a bushing between the distributor gear and the timing gear.
Right.
So they did share some parts back.
Well, and they still do.
Yeah.
Between the VWs, the Porsches, and even the Audis.
Right.
Like the Cayenne,
Right.
their Touareg and the Q5, I think it is, and the Cayenne.
Yeah.
They share the chassis, and there are parts shared between the companies.
Right.
So the exterior, you're going to leave it as is, just until you get the car working.
Right.
Do you think at some point you'll refinish it and put it back to its original color, or are you going to just sort of take care of where there are maybe a few spots of rust and just let it look like this?
Right now, my plan is just to, obviously leave it like this.
Yeah.
Make sure everything's structurally sound. I do like the silver color that it originally came in, the metallic silver.
Yeah.
I do like that. There are some other, old traditional Porsche colors that I really do like.
Yeah.
There is I think it's a 2007 GT. The Porsche GT3.
The GT3?
That's a silver color, and it's got a lot of black in it that I really do like.
Oh yeah, that's
nice. If I were to stay, with the silver color and do that and respray it, that's a color I'm kind of leaning towards.
To me, it's almost like you've got a modern retro equivalent of the chalk color.
Yeah.
It's not quite chalk, but
Right.
it's pretty unique looking.
Yeah.
But that's fantastic. Talk about the interior. Let's start there and work our way out. And you can open the door, and I'll do the same over here.
All right.
Because having looked at the shell,
Yeah.
and it's in pretty good condition, right?
Yeah, I think so. I really
yeah.
do think so. I mean, you go around and you knock on it everywhere, and I mean, it's got a few spots, down here on the rockers.
But you see
On
these
the
come out of
exterior.
barns, and they are
They look like
dented.
Swiss cheese.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Where this is solid.
Yeah.
It just needs a little touch up. It needs a little love.
Right.
It's a different story on the inside.
A little bit different story on the inside. The seats and everything, those are in really good shape.
Okay.
And I was able to clean those up, and those are awesome. But you can see on the inside, I've cut out part of the floor pan here. I still need to finish removing all of it.
Yeah.
They had, the car was a restoration job, I guess, back in 1975.
Right.
And that's what I've been able to track down so far. And I think then is when they did the job of maybe, they put fiberglass on the underside of the car.
Right.
And on the inside of the car, they kind of sandwich the metal for the floor pan, which is just a recipe for disaster. It's just, causing the moisture just to eat it away even worse. And I could have probably gone through and patched it, gotten some sheet metal, cut it out, and patched and stuff like that. But, Restoration Design out of Canada, they make, a lot of replacement parts, and they're really nice parts. They're high quality stuff that they build. And I looked into them, and I ended up ordering the floor pan kit, the deluxe kit. So I've got the floor pan, and then it's going to replace the longitudinal in here. Yeah. And then that's where your heater tube goes in there, and it's
okay.
So
I think I would have done the same. I mean, looking at this side, which is pretty original. Yeah. There's just a bit of a hole here at the back, and then seeing that. The opportunity that big hole over there gives you, I think I would have done the exact same.
Yeah. It's I figured, if I'm going to do it, I want to do it right on this car. Sure. If it was a different type of car, maybe been a little bit different. But with the, I don't know, just with this car, I figured I got to do it that way.
I think, and with that kind of attitude, it wouldn't surprise me if this ends up in the Smithsonian. You might pass it on to your kids, you might pass it on to their grandkids. Right. And if everybody is true to the Porsche and takes care of it, this could be one of those cars.
I love it. It's I fell in love with Porsches back when I was a kid, mid 70s. Yeah. And I saw one run around town, and that's ever since then I've wanted one. Yeah. And it was always a little bit out of my reach and everything like that. And then I gravitated towards all my buddies and friends. They all had the American muscle cars, and this opportunity came up.
I've got to ask, and I apologize if this is a difficult question, but this is your first Porsche. Right. You've been wanting a Porsche all your life. Right. It's sitting in your garage and you can't drive it. Right. Are you okay with that? Are you itching to get this ready? Because it doesn't sound like it. It sounds like you're wanting to just take your time and do it right.
It helps with the weather outside right now.
Yeah.
It's January. It's January. It was 7 degrees this morning. So that makes it easier. My original intention was hopefully to get it done when I first started was have it done by April. And the spring comes around. Yeah. Now that I decided to go ahead and do some things and everything else and put together my list and everything else, I'm like going, okay, I might be a little ambitious with April. Yeah. But it's
summer, fall, maybe.
Again, I brought the car home July 22nd. Yeah. A day after my 55th birthday. Yeah. I'd like to have it back on the road by July 21st of this year.
That would be so good.
That's 6 months from now. So I don't know. Like I said, I think it's a lot more doable not trying to do all the cosmetic on the outside.
Absolutely. Yeah.
If I were to go ahead and want to just strip all the paint off and everything else and pull all the glass out and everything, that would be a whole different project.
Have you tested the windows for are they going to hold water? Are you going to have to dry it on
I have no idea. Looking at some of the rubber, it's very dry and everything. Yeah. But
just drive it on a sunny day.
I won't have it out
when it's raining.
I won't have it out when it's raining anyway. That would never be my intention. The only thing is if I do decide to put a hose to it to wash it and wash away all the patina. Yeah. I kind of joke about that, but we'll see what happens.
Let's take a look at this interior. The steering wheel is epic.
Yeah.
It is so nice. And those 3 original gauge faces, the cluster. Right. You got gasoline. What is that? Oil temperature, maybe?
Yeah.
That's speed.
Right. Yep. Yes. The tach.
Oh, that's the tach.
That's the tach.
Sorry. Speed on the right.
And then the speed here.
And how many miles does that say?
It says 7,813. So I imagine it's probably 107,000. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know.
It's been sat in a barn though almost since it came off the production line almost.
Well. Yeah, what happened is I have been able to track a little bit of its history. Yeah. The guy that had it before the individual I bought it off of, they titled the car in 1974. Okay. They bought it in '74. I think that they then had some restoration done on it, and then in 1976, they were driving it. The son was driving it, and something happened to it. Wasn't running right, and he pulled into a gas station, and he called his dad and told him what was going on, and the mechanic looked at it and said, well, you know, I'm not really sure yet. It's nothing simple. We got to look into it. So the dad told the kid to come home, you know, get away home, and, you know, leave the car there and we'll figure it out. Next thing you know, the dad calls back to the gas station and said, yeah, we don't want the car anymore, you know, would somebody want to buy it or anything like that? So the mechanic and a buddy of his bought it together.
Okay.
They were able to get it fixed and running. They drove it around for part of the summer.
Okay.
Then they had another problem with it. I think they cracked the piston or something happened. And then they parked it in the garage.
Right.
And that was it. And that was in 1976.
So mechanically, I think factory-wise, you would expect to get about 60 or 70 horses out of this, right?
Yeah, I think, now, this car here, it's a 57. The engine is not a 57 engine. It's not a numbers matching engine.
Okay.
It's from 1963.
So for the layman like myself at home, what does that mean? It meant the engine blew up and it was replaced, or?
That's a good question. And a lot of times, if there was a problem with the engine, they'd take it to the shop. It was earlier for them just to pull it out and put in a new one. Back with these, you know, the way that they handled these things back, you know, in the day, in the early 60s and late 50s and things. So I guess that had happened at different times. I don't know why this one was changed, but so that's the engine that was in it, and it was, looking at the numbers, it is the same. It is a 1600 Super.
Yeah.
The engine that
emblem's great.
From 1963. It is a 1600 Super. I think those had 75 horsepower.
Okay.
Out of the factory. I think the 63s did. Mark and I can't remember the name of his channel now on YouTube. Mark and Cars, I think it is. He's got a 63 356.
Okay.
And he just did his interview with Michael Bath on Push Cool.
Yes.
And he was talking about his. He took his head was stock was 60 horsepower. And before anything was ever done to the engine and everything like that, he took it and they put it on a dyno. And I think he said it dynoed out to the wheels at something like 37 or 38 horsepower.
Yeah.
So, you know, which is quite a bit of a drop off. You know, it's usually about 20% reduction from crank to wheels. Wow. But you know, it's you know.
But you haven't bought this thing to break records. You
I
bought
haven't
this
bought it
thing
to break records.
to drive it and enjoy it.
Right, and you know, it's an 1,800-pound car.
Yeah.
You know, so you know the power to weight ratio obviously isn't like your car, but it's still a pretty light car with there. So I'll still be able to get around. But you know, it's and it's funny. You know, like I said, I had American muscle cars. When I first found this car, I had a 1972 Ford Mustang Mach 1.
Wow.
And then a friend of mine sent me a text message one night and said, hey, look at this thing that's sitting in this guy's garage. Do you know what it is? And this buddy of mine was doing work at this guy's house. And I was like, yeah, I know what that is. That's awesome. And I said, what's he going to do with it? You know, is he restoring it? And he goes, no. He goes, he's actually thinking about selling it.
Wow.
So then that's how I got contacted.
Yeah.
So then I talked to the guy for a few months, going back and forth and trying to do things. And I was going to keep my Mach 1 and then try doing this, and then I decided, you know what, I'm going to let someone else enjoy my Mach 1.
Yeah.
And then, so.
That's good.
Figure I'm going to be spending all my time on this.
Sure.
Yeah.
Now, you were thinking about the straps at one point, weren't you?
The hood straps?
Yes.
Yes.
So is that something you're going to go forward with?
Yes, I am.
I think that'll look great. Yeah. And tell us about the lights here that you've done.
Oh, okay.
To me, they look stock, but they're not, right?
No, the fog lights or the driving lights, right? So what I did is, you've got your bumper, which I have the bumpers, the front and rear, but of course it's an Outlaw, and I prefer them without the bumpers.
Yeah.
So the bumper is off, but the car had it was part of the American bumper setup that they had. From the bumper, there was a bar that would go from that back inside through the body.
Okay.
So there was a hole right here next to the horn grill, and I'm thinking, well, I really want to put these fog lights on there.
Yeah.
That would be a great spot. I don't have to drill into the body or cut anything.
Yeah.
I could just go with that. But if you looking at the car, you see the patina that's on the car, and then I bought these, and they were, all bright and shiny, chrome.
Oh, just look completely out of place.
Completely.
Yeah.
Completely. And so what I did is I took them, and I took the Scotch-Brite pad, and I just rubbed down all the chrome, and it looked like a brushed nickel.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, it's getting there.
Getting there.
And then I took and I sprayed them, put some vinegar in a spray bottle, and I just sprayed it. And I did that for probably about 3 days, and it's turned out to how you see it now.
Yeah, it looks incredible.
It really kind of matches the patina on the car.
Yeah, it really does. It looks like it came from the factory.
Yeah. So.
Wow.
Still using it for a little bit of storage.
Yeah.
So I got the old hubcaps in here that are just corroded pretty bad. There's some that look actually pretty decent. I got a total of 6 of them. Love the badge on them.
So you got a couple of months of work ahead of you.
Yeah.
You've made some great progress. Last question for you. Okay. Have you given it a name? Don't tell me you've called it Betty Sue or something like that.
Well, you can see right here on the window.
The Stone City Outlaw. Okay.
Stone City Outlaw.
Fair enough.
And that's my Instagram page is the Stone City Outlaw. And I tried to figure out when I was putting together the Instagram page, trying to figure out, because I had my personal one, and my personal Facebook and all this other stuff, and I just, like I said, I was just getting hit with so many things, and so I'm like, you know what, I'm going to have to give it its own page. So I came up with that, and the car's an Outlaw, and I prefer the Outlaws. I'm a big Rod Emery fan.
Sure.
And I have talked to him about this car.
Okay.
And the Stone City name came up from this region that I live in, southwest of Chicago.
Yeah.
Used to be nicknamed Stone City because of the quarries that they have here, pulling all the limestone out.
Yeah, yeah.
And everything.
That's fantastic.
Also, it came to my head, I'll just call it the Stone City Outlaw.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Todd. I hope I can reserve the right to come back and check in on you once you're done.
Oh, definitely.
Thank you.
I hope you do.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah. Well, guys, this has been Todd's Stone City Outlaw. I hope you enjoy it. You can follow Todd on his Instagram. You can see it here in the window, at Stone_City_Outlaw. I can't get that one out.
Yeah.
But thanks for checking in. More videos coming soon. What a great way to start the year of Auto Amateur videos with this original OG Porsche. Absolutely beautiful. Congratulations, and I wish you the best of luck with your journey.
Thank you. Yep, I appreciate it.